This is my ranking of idle games that I've played based purely on my personal experience. Each one is placed from masterpiece down to trash, depending on how addictive the progression feels, how satisfying the upgrade systems are, and how well the game keeps you coming back over time. Let's get straight into the list. Clicker Heroes started as a very simple clicking game, but after a few hours I was completely hooked on building stronger heroes, unlocking skills, and watching giant damage numbers destroy enemies in seconds. The early progression moved quickly, and every ascension gave me another reason to keep pushing deeper instead of stopping. I liked how the game slowly changed from non-stop clicking into managing upgrades, hero souls, ancients, and mercenary rewards. Even when I left the game running in the background, it still felt satisfying, returning to huge piles of gold and stronger builds waiting for me later. The repetitive music and plain backgrounds became tiring after long sessions, but the progression loop kept bringing me back almost every day after work during late-night gaming sessions. This easily lands in the excellent tier. The Gnorp Apologue started slowly, but after learning how the shard system worked, I became addicted to planning builds and watching tiny Gnorps turn simple mining into complete chaos. I liked how the game mixed idle mechanics with real decision-making instead of only letting numbers rise forever. Every compression changed the pace, and I had to think carefully about upgrades, talent paths, rockets, and collection speed if I wanted progress to continue. Some runs completely failed because I picked the wrong upgrades, but restarting with better knowledge made later attempts much more satisfying. The colorful shard explosions, strange creatures, and constant build changes kept the game interesting even during slower moments, where I mostly watched everything unfold in the background during long sessions late at night sometimes. This belongs in the great tier. Tiny Aquarium started as a relaxing fishing game, but after spending more time with it, I enjoyed decorating tanks, collecting rare fish, and slowly building passive income from everything inside my aquarium. The light idle mechanics worked nicely because I still had things to manage instead of only waiting for numbers to rise automatically. I liked joining public lobbies, checking event quests, and returning later to see my fish fully grown and earning extra money. The cozy art style and ambient ocean sounds made long sessions feel calm, especially during quiet evenings. Some systems became frustrating after a while, since many upgrades, bait purchases, and features were locked behind timers or level requirements that slowed progress down too much. Even with those issues, I still had time playing it. This fits into the good tier. Adventure Capitalist became addictive much faster than I expected because every upgrade instantly turned small profits into ridiculous amounts of money within minutes. I started with tiny lemonade stands, but later I was managing oil companies, banks, and massive businesses that generated billions while I watched numbers climb non-stop across the screen. The progression loop worked extremely well, since every milestone unlocked another speed boost, manager, or multiplier that pushed profits even higher. I also liked how the game continued earning money while closed, which made returning later feel rewarding after long breaks away from the screen. After enough upgrades, I barely needed to click anymore because everything automated itself into a giant money machine running endlessly in the background all day. Even after many hours, I still wanted bigger profits constantly. This settles into the great tier. Melvor Idle started as a small game. I opened for a few minutes, but after unlocking more skills, crafting better gear, and fighting stronger enemies, I kept coming back every day. The RuneScape inspiration is obvious, and leveling mining, fishing, woodcutting, and combat skills felt like revisiting an older MMORPG in a simpler format. I liked how every skill connected with another system, because progress in one area always helped somewhere else. The idle mechanics were relaxing, yet dungeon fights still needed attention, so death never felt meaningless. I also liked that the game keeps getting updates, new content, and balance changes instead of feeling abandoned. The free version already has a huge amount of content, and the monetization never became annoying during my time with it. This easily lands in my masterpiece tier without hesitation. Antimatter Dimensions looked simple at first, but after reaching new layers, resets, challenges, and upgrades, I started understanding why so many people become obsessed with it. Watching dimensions create more dimensions sounds ridiculous, yet the progression system kept making me think about faster routes and smarter choices. I liked that the game barely used visuals or flashy effects because everything depended on numbers, timing, and strategy. Some challenges needed actual attention instead of letting the game run alone in the background, which made progress feel satisfying. My interest slowed down once the infinity systems became too focused on gigantic numbers instead of new mechanics, but I still respected how deep the design became over time, despite slower stretches near the late game. After spending hours experimenting with resets and upgrades, this easily lands in my masterpiece tier. Farmer Against Potatoes. Idle started as a silly game about fighting angry potatoes, but after unlocking gardening, worm breeding, mining, pets, cards, and reincarnation systems, I realized how huge the experience actually was. Every mechanic connected back into making my character stronger, so even tiny upgrades still mattered during longer sessions. I liked that new systems kept appearing long after most Idle games usually run out of ideas because the progression rarely felt repetitive. Some activities became too active after many hours, especially managing gardens and minigames before automation unlocked, but the pacing stayed addictive for a long time. The graphics and interface looked rough at first, yet the amount of depth behind everything surprised me more and more. After dozens of hours experimenting with every system, this belongs in my excellent tier without any question. Military Incremental Complex immediately stood out because it mixed idle progression with dark humor about weapons manufacturing, corruption, and endless profit chasing in a way that stayed entertaining for hours. I started by manually crafting bullets and small weapons, but later I was automating factories, manipulating markets, funding wars, and stacking upgrades that turned the entire economy into a giant money machine. The constant stream of strange upgrades and sarcastic corporate messages gave the game much more personality than most Idle games I've played recently. I also liked how every prestige run unlocked new strategies that made future progress faster and more chaotic than before. The old Windows-style presentation looked ugly on purpose, but it matched the satire perfectly and made everything feel strangely memorable during longer sessions late at night. This goes into the good tier. Cell to Singularity quickly became much bigger than I expected because the game constantly expanded from simple evolution mechanics into massive simulations about life, dinosaurs, and space itself. I liked unlocking new branches in the technology tree and seeing how every discovery connected naturally to the next stage of evolution over time. The game also made progression feel rewarding because every upgrade unlocked new creatures, environments, planets, or simulations that constantly changed what I was looking at on screen. I spent a lot of time trying to optimize resource generation while balancing active clicking with passive income upgrades across multiple systems at once. The educational angle also made the experience stand out, since learning about evolution in space happened naturally while progressing through the game during long, late-night sessions repeatedly. This comfortably reaches the great tier. Cauldron surprised me because what looked like a small, retro RPG quickly turned into a massive, upgrade-focused game, packed with addictive minigames and non-stop progression systems. I spent most of my time grinding resources, unlocking new mechanics, and chasing bigger upgrades that constantly made every minigame faster and more chaotic than before. The upgrade trees were huge, and every time I thought I was finished playing, another unlock appeared that kept me going longer than expected. I also liked how the game mixed Idle-style progression with turn-based combat and exploration instead of only focusing on one system the entire time. The auto-battle options made longer fights easier to manage, especially once larger enemy waves started appearing later on. Some parts eventually became repetitive after many hours of grinding resources repeatedly, though. This belongs in the good tier. Cookie clicker sounds unbelievably stupid at first, because the entire game is basically about clicking a giant cookie forever, yet somehow it became one of the most addictive Idle games I have ever played. What started with small numbers quickly turned into endless production chains, generating ridiculous amounts of cookies every second without slowing down at all. I spent hours optimizing upgrades, chasing achievements, managing golden cookie bonuses, and restarting runs just to make future progress even faster than before. The game also stayed entertaining because it constantly added strange humor, weird lore, and unexpected mechanics that made progression feel much bigger than the simple concept suggested early on. Even after automation handled almost everything for me, I still kept returning non-stop because watching numbers explode never stopped feeling satisfying after extremely long sessions. This goes in the masterpiece tier. That's my ranking of idle games I've played, from slow burn clickers to endlessly addictive progression loops that kept running in the background. Thanks for watching.